Hello, Dev.
What are you doing here?
You haven't done Mono Black Aggro yet, Evan. You said you were going to do it 2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry, I was really interested in it. There's just... people are asking for so much stuff. I'm getting to it, I promise. I'll do it.
I have no patience for excuses, sir.
So is this it? Are you gonna disembowel me and consume the viscera for my fresh corpse?
Oh no, not at all. I just wanted to see if you wanted to party.
Oh. Well, yeah. Dirty!
Oh man, that was fun. Hey, what do you want to do next? Oh, I'm going to disembowel you and consume the viscera from your fresh corpse.
Oh, knew it!
I knew my calling since the day I turned 9 and got a Super Nintendo and an acoustic guitar and started playing on both until my fingers got scars. Yeah, you made.
What is up, my wizards? It's Dev from SBMTG, and we've got something today that people have been asking for because I said I would do it like forever ago. This is Mono Black Aggro, and I actually think it's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and try it out. Well, there's 30 creatures in this deck, and the last deck I did. A lot of creature-heavy decks lately, but that's what people like. 4 copies, let's start it off, of Bloodsoaked Champion here, and still awesome. Can anyone think of any reason to not play him as a 1-drop in this deck? The best 1-drop in black in the entire format, we are playing him. As far as 1-drops go, we're also playing 3 Tormented Hero here. There are other 1-drops we can play. There's Mardu Shadow Spear, there's Ruthless Ripper, there's a couple of things. I think that for an aggro deck, this is probably going to be our best choice, especially with the slight, very, very light warrior theme in the deck. Although Shadow Spear is a warrior too, and I think Shadow Spear and Ruthless Ripper are both better top decks late game than this guy is. This guy's a terrible top deck, but early game he's fantastic. So definitely want to play Tormented Hero in this. We are playing 3 Mardu Skull-Hunter here against control. If we can actually resolve this second turn, which we often can on the play, then this is a very, very good play. As a matter of fact, against a lot of decks in the format, this is good mid-range. You'll sometimes get one of their lands or even one of their removal spells. That happens. Or a high-dollar creature they won't play for a few turns. There are a lot of things you can get with this, man. Mardu Skull-Hunter, I think, is actually a very, very good second turn play. We are playing 3 Despoiler of Souls because it's really just one of the best black 2-drops in the entire format. This is sort of the 2-drop that Black Aggro has been waiting on for the entire time it's been trying to be a thing. A recursive creature with high power for its mana investment. You gotta play this guy because he keeps coming back. I mean, 30 creatures in the deck. We'll recur this guy all day, and he'll be sort of something our opponents have a really hard time dealing with, especially along with Bloodsoaked Champion, which I know this doesn't synergize well with. But again, 30 creatures in the deck. We should have no trouble getting this guy out of the graveyard. We're playing 2 copies of Bloodshin Rager here. Rager is crazy. We've got a slight warrior theme, like I said. This is really the only thing that benefits us having so many warriors. Which we don't have like a deck full of warriors, we just have enough warriors that this matters. One of them being Deathblade Predator, which is popping up in like everything lately, but in any case, Deathblade Predator, Graveblade Marauder. Even I haven't gotten used to the switch since spoiler season. But in any case, getting that guy through, or at least making him easier to get through is awesome. Not to mention all of our other warriors, because we do have some. Do really like Rager. I think that we pretty much have to play it. We are playing 3, I just talked about this guy, Graveblade Marauder, not Deathblade Predator, which would be an awesome name. But anyway, like I said, again, with the 30 creatures in this deck, this guy and the next creature coming up will facilitate him in a lot of ways. So, love Graveblade Marauder in this. Once you play Rager, like, second turn Rager, third turn this, that's a very good sequence. Although you will have to start putting creatures in your graveyard pretty fast. But I mean, a 1/4 Death Touch for 3 is pretty good. This kills Siege Rhino in combat, that's a thing. Well, actually it kills a lot of things in combat and survives, honestly. Against other aggro decks, this is fairly good. But I've gone on too long. I've said everything about Marauder in other videos that I really should have to say. Because Marauder is, I don't think he's like an all-star in the format or anything, but he synergizes very well with a lot of things we're trying to do in a few different decks. I really like Marauder. 3 Nantuko Husk. Again, this synergizes super well with Graveblade Marauder, and is really cool with like Bloodsoaked Champion. Great synergy with that. Even Despoiler of Souls in a pinch. So do like it. Obviously, this helps Despoiler recur out of the graveyard. You can sacrifice dudes in certain situations, and then get your Despoiler back. So a lot of synergies with Nantuko Husk. Do want to play him, and obviously, if he goes unblocked, it can be game over a lot of the time. 4 copies of Mogis' Marauder. This might be, possibly, the best card in the entire deck. This card is an all-star and does a lot of work for us. On the top deck, late game, especially considering we've got, Bloodsoaked Champion, Despoiler of Souls, a lot of creatures that are hard to keep off the battlefield forever, we'll have dudes. This gets fantastic and synergizes well with Despoiler just because, that's 3 devotion automatically right there. With Despoiler and this guy. So Mogis' Marauder just does all the work and can often be a late game finisher for only 3 mana. This card is fantastic, you guys. We're playing 3 Herald of Torment here. It started off as 4. I think it could still be 4 depending on how you want to build this deck. Herald of Torment is just great. I mean, a 3 mana, 3/3 flyer, the only creature with actual real evasion in the entire deck. That's pretty important. You can bestow this and give things like, say, Graveblade Marauder flying later on in the game. That's pretty cool. Get him through. Same thing with Nantuko Husk. Herald does so much for us in this deck. Very good initiative play, it turns out. Especially if we're on the play, this is great for our initiative. They're going to have to deal with a 3/3 flyer until the next couple of turns when they can play, they can outclass it with their creatures. But it's going to take a couple of turns, and this really helps us get 3 to 6 damage in before they can do a whole hell of a lot. So love, love, love Herald of Torment in this. And 2 copies on the very top end of the curve of the most flexible slot in the deck, okay? But I am going to play 2 copies of Grey Merchant of Asphodel in the main deck. There are other options. This is a budget build. So if it weren't a budget build, obviously you play Erebos' Titan in this slot, although if we're playing Titan I still want to play Grey Merchant, that's just me. But I think Grey Merchant is very good, especially if we can get to it against sort of other aggro decks. We do have some problems against Goblins. Soldiers is an issue, although I don't think Soldiers will be a big deck. Elves isn't that much of an issue, but still gives us some problems, especially once they play Blinding, if we can't remove that. So, do think the card is fairly important to sort of reset the state, or even as a finisher later on in the game as a top deck. So, a lot of things good about Grey Merchant. We've known that for a couple of years now. Do want to play at least the 2 copies of this card. On the spells, we were just playing 7 of them. I'm going to play 2 Ultimate Price in this deck, especially considering all the sort of monocolored aggro that we may see in this format. Mono red's still a thing. Still a huge thing, actually. Soldiers, you see it at F&M, I'm sure. I'm not sure if we'll see it on the circuit or not. And Elves, this kills pretty much everything except for Shaman of the Pack, So, do like Ultimate Price a whole hell of a lot. Kills, Stormbreath Dragon, a lot of problem creatures from Green-Red Devotion, Green-Red Ramp. So, gotta have it. Love Ultimate Price. I think it's better than ever right now. We are playing 1 copy of Pharika's Cure because this is a budget deck and we can't play Hero's Downfall. That's pretty much it. I wanted to play actually more copies of Cure. This is a fine card. Kills, Goblin Rabblemaster, Goblin Pile Driver, all the soldiers, almost all the soldiers, and just lots of stuff. Most of the elves, this kills Shaman of the Pack, So do really, really like Pharika's Cure right now in this format. A lot of aggro, especially at F&Ms, and helps us sort of gain a little bit of life back that we probably lost. This can really help our deficit a lot. I remove a creature and gain some life back. That's fine. That's a fine card. We're also playing 2 copies of Duress in this deck, mostly against control and mid-range builds. We can get the removal out of mid-range's hands and control's hands. We can get the counters out of control's hands so that we can play a big creature like Despoiler Marauder, Nantuko Husk, or Herald is a big thing. Because a lot of control decks will be able to counter Herald by the 3rd turn, even if we're on the play. So there is that to think about. Really do like Duress in this deck. I know a lot of aggro decks don't necessarily play Duress, but I think that we should. We're playing 1 copy of Bile Blight in the main deck here. Bile Blight, very good against tokens decks, obviously. They're aggro decks that play a lot of tokens, goblins, cough cough. So, want to play at least the 1 copy of Bile Blight. We're very limited in our removal here, but the removal we are playing, I want it to be very good. Bile Blight is that. And to finish off the deck here, 1 copy of Whip of Erebos, just the 1 copy. When we do see this, it's good. Gives our 30 creatures lifelink, just like in the last video I did. 30 creatures plus lifelink, that's pretty good. Plus, enables whipping stuff out of the graveyard. I mean, I really shouldn't go on about this. I don't know how you guys feel about the inclusion of Whip, but I think this is really good to help us go long a little bit. We can do all kinds of stuff, actually. Nantuko Husk out of the graveyard, sacrifice some dudes to it. Even if it doesn't get through, it has lifelink. We can get a ton of life off of that. Little tricks with Whip of Erebos are pretty good, I think. So at least want to play the 1 copy in this, even though it is fairly high value. I mean, hell, we're playing 2 Grey Merchants, so screw it. Let's play at least the 1 Whip. We're playing 23 lands in this deck. I really want it to be 24. I just don't want to cut anything. Although, in testing, the deck does very well with just the 23 lands, it turns out. 21 of them are swamps. You see the 1 Foundry, the Consuls. That's against control and decks that play sweepers and things like that. Although, we already do fairly well against those decks. But I do just like Foundry that much. I've tested with it in like 3 decks now. This is the 4th one actually, and just it's really good. Every time I see this card, I like having it. So playing at least the 1 copy, and also of course the 1 Rogue's Passage helps us get through huge Nantuko Husk, Deathblade Marauders, and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I think we should at least play the 1 Rogue's Passage. If you got dollars or you already own a copy of the card, play 1 Herbor, Tomb of Yawgmoth. Definitely play that card if you've got it, or if you've got a few bucks. And here's the board right here. A lot of stuff going on the board, although I think it's fairly flexible. You see that the board is mostly against like other aggro. We can sort of turn into a more mid-rangey deck against other aggro when we just put in all this removal and stuff. Dark Bertrayal for the Siege Rhinos, Drown in Sorrow for all the other aggro decks in the format. We can put in our Grey Merchant, our Sidisi, and our Swamp against all the tokens decks. We've got Virulent Plague. I mean, we've got a lot of options going on here that I do like. Although I wish that we could be a little bit more of a transitional sideboard into a mid-range deck. This is sort of a light transitional sideboard, but I do like it. And here are the power rankings while I quickly talk about some things that I wanted to play and didn't get a chance to. Obviously, if you have money, you should play Hero's Downfall, Herbor, Thoughtseize wouldn't be a bad choice, and Erebos' Titan is a great choice. But there's not really much that I cut from this deck that I really wanted to play and just like couldn't find the space for. Master of the Feast, possibly, but even that I'm not 100% sure of. So let me know how you feel about this build. Here's what I think about the power rankings. Obviously, there are some powerful cards in this deck, but it synergizes more than it is powerful. So you see that's the reason for that. It is a little bit slower than some of the other aggro decks in the format, but if I could give it a half a point, I might do that. Versatility, we are fairly versatile, and we're good against sweepers and removal, which we see an awful lot of. Our board, I think, is fairly strong, and we are very consistent because we're always doing thunder. We're always doing what we mean to be doing for the most part. The deck has a very clear goal in mind, and a couple of different ways to achieve it. Either through a big Nantuko Husk, Bloodsoaked Rager, and Deathblade Marauder. Rogue's Passage can come down. We can just do aggro damage, honestly, against like control decks and slower builds. We can just attack for damage the normal way, you know? So the deck has a lot of things going for it. On TCG Player, this deck costs like $25 to make or something like that. It's very, very cheap. On Star City, it might cost you, $40, something like that, but still very cheap deck, honestly. So try it out. I think it's actually really cool, really fun, and has like, more options than some aggro decks, because we have this ridiculous thing where they cannot let some of our creatures through, or they will die. So, that's just how it is. Not every aggro deck in the format has that going for it. So try it out, see how you like it, let me know. And yeah, any suggestions or anything like that, let me know that too. The next thing we're doing is either. Is it budget, is it counterburn, which I've gotten a crazy amount of response for, or it's going to be budget, they're both budget decks, black-white mid-range, which actually I think is really, really good, and will only cost you about $25, $30 to make that one too. So let me know which one you like more, and I'll go ahead and get that done. And I'll see you guys later, man. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all those things. They help us out so much. Thank you for all the new subscribers lately. It's just mind-blowing to us, and we'll see you guys later, man. My name's Deb from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.